Hi, I'm Allison Earnhardt, and I've been writing these blog posts lately about the work I've been doing with the Little Singer Community School in the Navajo Nation. Also, at the same time, I've been working on setting up what we call here at the CEO this media station. And so I thought today I would kind of combine these two projects into one and test out making a vlog post instead of just a typed up blog post, just to see how the equipment works and to maybe get a little more personal with the people who want to know about what's going on between Tough CEO and Little Singer. So I want to start today's post talking about what we did this past summer. After I worked with Tom and his group of students for April and May, school ended at the end of May, and then for the month of June, we basically met for it ended up being 4 weeks, Monday through Friday, and we wanted to do something a little bit different. We had learned a lot from the last few weeks of just kind of figuring out what works in this virtual setting, what works with Tom and his students, and how could we make that better. So we brainstormed, and we thought that for this summer enrichment program, we would do a theme. That theme was agriculture and farming, and it's extended beyond just what we were doing in our engineering sessions, but the students were doing that all day long with all of their different teachers. So the focus was agriculture and farming, which is, of course, extremely important to the folks in the Navajo Nation. So we made sure that all of our projects were based around that theme. Themes that were relatable to the students, things where they could go, oh yeah, I've seen that before, or my family does this. We want to make it relevant for them. We tried to do a week of really short projects to introduce the kids to using different sensors and different kinds of coding tricks. We were going to have a group of students that were half returning students from Tom's 6th grade class that had just graduated 6th grade. And then the other half of the students for summer enrichment were going to be 5th graders who were going to be rising 6th graders. So they didn't have the experience that the other students had had the previous 2 months working with us. So it was a little odd to have that mix of new kids and experienced kids, but we worked with that. And then week 2 and week 3 of the program have a larger, more open-ended project that, tied into this theme of agriculture and farming. So week 1, we tried to do a small project a day for all 5 days, and that was just a little too fast. But we got through 4 out of the 5 projects, so that was pretty cool. And also, we had a special treat. One of the days, we had a virtual field trip where Tom actually went out to this farm near where the school is. It's run by a gentleman by the name of Tyrone Thompson. And we spent our entire session, one of the cool things about being online, is that anywhere can be the classroom. So Tom had his smartphone out, and he was filming all around the farm, and Mr. Thompson was showing off all of the tech and all of the stuff that he does in his greenhouse and his produce storage and all of this stuff. And Tom got to ask questions, and we all sat back in our Zoom call and got to watch it, got to ask our own questions and kind of interact. And that was super cool because that really brought home this idea of farming and agriculture and how relevant it is to their lives. It was a farm that was literally just down the road from where a lot of those students lived. So that was super cool. And then on top of that, our other collaborator, Bill Church, who lives up in New Hampshire, he also created a video of kind of a virtual tour of one of his friends' farms up in New Hampshire. So that was really interesting that we got to do that because we got to kind of compare and contrast a farm in the Navajo Nation versus a farm in upstate New Hampshire. The climate is very different. The kind of stuff they're doing is different. But a lot of what they're doing is the same, too. And you got to see a lot of the same tools or the same problems being solved by, some different pieces of tech or stuff that they came up with on their own. My favorite piece of tech from Tyrone Thompson's farm was some vents that would open and close based on the melting of beeswax, which was like the perfect indicator that the temperature needed to rise or shut. And then for the next week, week 2, we did a project based on smart farms, basically. So you could pick a barn or a greenhouse or a tool or some facet of a farm and say, what could I design or build that could solve a technical issue on a farm. And so this was a little more open-ended. We'd never done anything like this before. All the projects up to this point was like, we're going to build X, or we're going to build Y. And of course we wouldn't give them instructions. We wouldn't give them a picture of what the final thing is supposed to look like. But we had the goal pretty narrow and pretty, this is what we want. But with this new project, it was totally open-ended. We had the students decide for themselves, all right, of everything on a farm, what would I like to build, and how am I going to build it, and what problem does it solve? And that was challenging. It's challenging for anybody, and it's especially challenging for 5th and 6th graders. But it was also really fun and cool, and you could see the students starting to take more ownership of their projects because they got to choose, well, I'm going to build this thing that rolls around and pokes holes in the ground and plants seeds. Or, I'm going to build this thing that's a greenhouse with doors that open, and when it senses that it's raining, the doors are going to open so that the rain can water the plants. They came up with really cool stuff, and it was all their own ideas. We weren't giving them those ideas. We showed them these farms. They got to see all these different aspects of a farm, and then they got to decide what they wanted to build and how to make that. And that turned out to be really cool. So that was super fun. I will say, though, that we had some trouble with documentation. We're trying to get the students to write about what they're doing, take pictures and videos of what they're doing. We're trying to get them to think about their thinking and then document all of this. And we felt like the documentation we were trying to get them to do was a bit overwhelming. There wasn't enough time for it in our sessions, and students were very hesitant to write a lot about what they were thinking or what they were planning. So we felt after week 2 that we needed to make some changes. So for week 3, we did a new big open-ended project. This time the theme was called Protect Your Produce. And it was all about trying to build some kind of mechanism that can harvest produce somehow. So the topic was a little more narrow, but still within that topic, we had all different kinds of things. We had people making grabber arms that would open and shut and kind of grab, an ear of corn or something like that. We had one student design a blueberry picker with long fingers that could be pressed through the bush, and when you pull it back, all the blueberries fall into a little container. We had a lot of cool projects like that. And we changed the way we were doing documentation. We had a much simpler, streamlined online engineering notebook, which was just a set of Google slides. And we based it after the 4 stages of the Dinet engineering process. I'm thinking about it, I'm planning it, I'm making it, and I'm testing it. We would have kids just really quick. All right, you're thinking about it. What's something that's inspiring you? What are you thinking about making and why? All right, cool. And then we'd work some more. And then we'd go into the next phase and we'd be like, all right, what's your idea? Why do you want to do this? And we also worked with students on helping type stuff into their notebooks, because a lot of students were either hesitant to write in their notebooks or for technical reasons, one thing or another, they weren't able to. So the teaching assistants and I were able to go into breakout sessions and work with these students and say, all right, tell me the story of what you're building and why is it relevant to you and what's going on. And we would just kind of type it out. And that worked really well. We got a lot of really good documentation, and it's what the kids were thinking and what they were doing, and that was awesome. And I feel like it was really successful. Things we learned from it is to go a little bit slower. Everything just takes more time when you're on a Zoom call with a whole bunch of other people who are on a Zoom call, and internet connections are sometimes spotty and sometimes tech isn't working. So we continue to try to cram too many projects into the space of time that we have. The relevance was really cool, bringing it home to them and showing them that, having a virtual field trip that's like right in their area about a farm that's doing really good work right in their literal backyards, I thought was really cool. And we're going to continue to do that into the next school year. I'm also still working on this idea of skills building projects versus bigger projects. And I'm gonna talk more about that in the next video, because I want to talk about what we're planning for this upcoming school year, which is actually starting this week. So I want to talk about what Tom and I have started to work on, we learned a lot from April and May. We did some new things, and then we learned a lot in June. So now, starting back up again here in August, we're going to try version 3 of how we're going to be working with this. And I'll tell you more about that in the next video. So, thanks for watching.